Welcome to the Voice Detective Show. I'm your host, Gioachino, aka the Voice Detective. My guest today is Baldassare Giardina, an archeologist and Lucio Dalla specialist. It's not very often that one gets to hear about a great musician's life from the grassroots up. As Baldassare's first encounter with Dalla, we're listening to his father's jazz band rehearse with the very young and unknown Lucio. Baldassare, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you. Baldassare, you are an archaeologist and have written books on archaeology and music. Tell us how this combination of interests arose.
First of all, I have worked as an archaeologist for 10 years in Pompeii, in Sardinia, in Rome, in Ravenna. But the professional fee was very low. And so when I got a family, I have to give it up. And anyway, in the last years, I've written a book about the lighthouses in the ancient world. And then because I have to find another job because I need money, naturally, I have chosen to be a tourist guide. And because I grown up in the house where Gioachino Rossini has lived and has written the Paper of Seville and the Cinderella, I was since the very beginning very connected to music. And for that reason, and also because my father was a gynecologist, but also a musician, music came early in my life.
And so you grew up in a house where Rossini composed some of his operas. Tell us about
Yes.
It's a unique experience.
Yes, I was very proud about that. I was also very advantaged with the girls to introduce myself. I live in the house of Gioachino Rossini. Was a big staircase, a helicoidal staircase to reach my apartment. Was also pretty big because it was not so big like Lucia Dalla apartment, but anyway, 350 square meters. So pretty big. And at the entrance were two columns with the Ionic capitals. And unluckily, they painted too many times in the house. So we don't have the frescoes inside like in the house of Lucio Dalla. But in the upper floor was the piano of Gioachino Rossini, which is now in a museum. So I had the chance to see the piano where Rossini played. And I used to dream about when Rossini was at the place with his wife or gambling at cards, and he was writing the Paper of Seville or other operas.
So your father played music with Lucio Dalla. Tell us about the band your father formed.
Yeah, that was for me very common when I was young. I discovered later that was something peculiar, an exception, because my father said he was a gynecologist. He has worked always as a gynecologist, as a doctor, and he has created that band, the amatorial jazz band, in the 50s. And he go ahead with this band, playing also with Louis Armstrong and other many famous musicians. And in the 60s, he had a clarinet player who became later a movie director in Bologna, Pavarotti, very known by us. He was very, very good. He could read and write music, but it was very academic. And my father searched someone not so academic. And someone told him that in a little band in Bologna was a funny young boy, a little bit fat, but very good with his clarinet, and it was Lucio Dalla. And he was only 16 years old. So my father taken, put it together with Pavarotti, but Lucio was a genius. He never was able to read and write music, but he was able to play music in such marvelous ways.
Wow, your father played with Louis Armstrong. That's amazing.
Yes, my father was very old when he has played with Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong was guest in Sanremo Festival, and he came to Bologna. So my father decided to play in the way of Louis Armstrong. He painted his face with black color. He went on a chariot and he started to play trumpet. Sachmo, Louis Armstrong was passing for Bologna for chance, going to Sanremo. And then they were invited for chance together in a television transmission in the 50s, Il Signore sulle 23, and he had the chance to play trumpet together with Lucio Dalla, with Louis Armstrong. It's very funny because I had the recording because my father has put in a CD that song, and Louis Armstrong started to say, "You are not playing the good way in the good way. I teach you how to play," and so it was very funny because it started like non così, così.
What is your earliest memory of Lucio?
Well, I was very young. I was very young, and I remember very funny, funny man, very kind, always laughing. And that is, I remember making jokes every time.
Tell us about Lucio's early musical training. You mentioned he was trained as a
So,
clarinetist.
yes, before he has played the harmonium, because his uncle has given his harmonium, but he ate the harmonium. So the legend said that he threw the harmonium through the terrace of his house because he ate that kind of instrument. And the mother has given him a clarinet, and so he started with this clarinet, and he has founded a band in a very famous theater in Bologna, Antoniano, which was called High Town Syncopators. And that was the time in which my father met him, and they become friends.
How many instruments did Lucio play?
So I said harmonium, clarinet, sax. He also make a duet with Kate Jarrett with the sax, and piano.
Oh, right. That's quite an array of instruments.
Yes, yes. And everything is done without reading and writing music. So normally he has produced his works whistling and a couple of notes on the piano, not more, just with a ear.
Can you elaborate a bit on Lucio's upbringing? Was he from a family of musicians?
Not at all, not at all. The mother was in the mode. She was producing clothes, and the father was a merchant of oil, and he used to how do you say this is the name the people who fight with the animals. How do you say?
With the animals.
Hunter was a hunter. Was a hunter.
Oh.
Was a hunter, and he is remembered in the song "Come profondo il mare." Father, you were a big hunter of birds and eagles, and so nothing to do with music. Absolutely nothing to do with music. So he has grown up himself. He has done everything by himself. No one taught him how to learn the clarinet, how to do something else. Neither the mother or the father. The father died also very young. He was only 7 years old when the father died.
So was his family, I mean, his mother, was she very supportive towards him embarking on a music career?
Yes, that is very uncommon because in Italy at that age, in the 60s, when Lucio joined the band of my father, he have seen that the most were amatorial, and they didn't think to arrive till today, naturally. And Lucio was scared not to have success in the jazz band. And he was 17 years old, to the mother, can escape the school and go to Rome to be a jazz musician. And not only she told him, you can go, but she also signed the first contract with another jazz band, the Second Roman Jazz Band. And that is very uncommon for that time. Still today should be very modern. A mother leave the child go away from the school to be a jazz musician without any support. So the mother was very important for Lucio's life, not only because naturally Lucio was born by the mother, but also because she allowed him to do whatever he wanted.
That's really beautiful that was the case. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Lucio was very young, and in Italy was not allowed it to go away if you were so young. For example, my father, when Lucio joined the band and they had to go to France, he put Lucio as a second son on his ID. So I was also brother of Lucio Dalla before I was born.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Did you realize that your father's colleague would become a great cultural figure, not just in Bologna, but throughout Italy?
When I met him, when I had the first idea, because I was born in 1975, so the first idea I have in 1985 and 1986, which was the year in which is written Caruso, so was already very known. And I had that idea. I was not so interested so much in my father's works and colleagues at that time, but I love the music of Lucio Dalla. I would imagine that it could be an important VIP of Italy, but so known as he has done later, I think that neither him could expect it.
Can you tell us a bit about the circumstances behind him writing the song Caruso?
So that came because Pavarotti has done a concert in the US. Did you remember with the horse during a celebration? And he wanted to do a concert in America. And the title of the album was Dalla America. So from America. But he felt that something was missing inside that album. And he said, I have to go to Naples, to the southern Italy, to have inspiration, because the music is born in southern Italy. So he's taking his yacht, and he went to Naples. But at the height of Sorrento, the yacht was broken. And he has heard the fishermen telling him the history of Caruso. And it was for chance placed in the house, in the room where Caruso has lived. And suddenly he had this inspiration to write that song. And it was scared that his pronounce of Napolitan dialects was not so good, because it was from Bologna. But he has taken a lot of compliments and congratulations from many singers of Naples, and that become one of his big success all through the world.
Does it annoy you that most people outside of Italy think that Pavarotti and Bocelli wrote, the interpreters of Caruso wrote the song as well?
Yes, actually, that's annoy me. I have to say yes, because I think that is not good to have this idea. Naturally, Pavarotti having written a song, it was just a tenor. It was sung a lot of songs, like Mamma and others, not only operas. It was one of the greatest tenor, we had it together with the other two, naturally. They both were friends, Pavarotti and Lucio.
The Lucio Dalla apartment in the center of Bologna is a place of cultural pilgrimage. Was this always planned to be the case after his death?
In a way, yes, because who does that kind of houses, crowded of handcrafts, paintings, sculpture, didn't realize that kind of houses for himself, but to show to the other people. I have the same experience as my father. Also, my father's apartment is the same, crowded of paintings, 300 paintings, sculpture, and so on. It was, I think, also a culture in that time to collect items of different ages. What is said to be said is that when Lucio was alive, no one asked where is the house of Lucio Dalla. Only after his death, the people started to be interested in see the house where he has lived in the last years. And he's even not his first house. He has changed a lot of houses. That was the last one. He bought the house not only in 1993, so very late.
Oh, okay. When I'd actually visited the house, I was blown away by how skilled Lucio was in bringing a vast collection of heterogeneous artworks together in such a harmonious way. How do you think he achieved this?
I think that his experience as a musician has helped him because he refused any kind of specialization, even in music. And the same for the art. So he put together Renaissance with modern items, maybe just look into the colors or to the faces or to the thema on the paintings. So I think that he had done in his house, in this collection, what he has done for his music. So very different items all together, but with an idea of art.
That's very true. What is it like to be a guide in such an amazing place?
Well, I'm very glad. I have to thank the relatives of Lucio Dalla who now have the place. They are very nice with me, and they know that my relationship with Lucio was very strong because, as said, was my friend, a friend of my father when he was 16, and so they were friends from 16 years old till 80 years old for my father and 69 years old for Lucio when he died. So for me, it's a very good experience because I'm very glad to give emotions to the people. In fact, when I start outside, you remember, outside of the church, and when I keep saying, I'm sorry, but it's forbidden to take in picture, to take in videos, to sit, but I add, but you can emotion yourself. You can think about Lucio and you can hear the presence of Lucio inside the place. So for me, is not only a very advantage to have the chance to be a tourist guide in that kind of place, because the house is wonderful, also as palace. I used to say not only what is inside, but also the contentor is a beautiful place with the original frescoes of 16th, 17th, and 19th century. And I'm glad to give emotion and to make Lucio live again inside that kind of place.
Definitely. Do you have any special story about Lucio that you can share with us that nobody knows about?
I have two. One just personal. My father has written a very beautiful Christmas concert, and he called Lucio, Iscla Menarini, and other singer, Gracilli, and so on. And it was in the opera theater. And my father told to Lucio, we have all to be dressed by smoking. And he said, I will never do it. I will never do it. I will never wear smoking for you. And my father was very scared because Lucio was was a crazy person, you know. So you are not sure what Lucio can do it. And so till the last minute, my father was scared that Lucio could present himself on the stage where like a farmer or like a clown. And finally, he came outside with his typical head, but the smoking. And he said, do you see, Nardo? I wear the smoking for you. Oh. And I tell you another thing that is most known, but it's very funny. Because when he was young, Lucio has played in a very beautiful hotels, inns. But in the 60s, in Italy, was common to sing and to play with the barefoot, so without socks and without shoes. And the owner of the hotels were not so happy about that. And once they told him, Lucio, if you come tomorrow without socks, you will never sing or play in my place. and he said, okay, we'll do it. The day next, he went to the owner of the hotel. He raised up his pants, and the owner said, okay, you have your socks. He started laughing because he said, I don't have the socks. I painted on my feet.
Wow. That's incredible. And very creative as well.
Yes, sure.
Lucio was a type of modern-day troubadour, keeping alive Italian history from his lifetime and before within the poetry of his lyrics. What do you feel about this? Do you agree?
I'm totally agree. All the songs he has written are like really like poetry, because normally it's very easy to make a rhyme in the songs. It's very unusual that in Lucio Dalla you hear the rhyme. We used to say the rhyme cuore amore. That is not typical of Lucio Dalla. Are really text like poetry. So I'm totally agree about that. And he has started with a poet, as you know, because he has worked with a poet.
Yes, Roberto Ravesi, I believe.
Exactly.
So, who were Lucio's musical heroes?
The jazz musician, because he dreamt to be a jazz musician. So he didn't. He never wanted to be a pop music singer. For that reason, he has changed so much. So Chet Baker was one of the Thelonious Monk, who was also a genius. All personalities who came to Bologna, because Bologna is a big jazz festival. We have a sidewalk with the stars, on which we have also the star of Lucio Dalla, naturally. Actually, I have also the star of my father, but unluckily, to have the star, you should be dead. And so he has seen, as a young boy, all these wonderful players like Ella Fitzgerald, Thelonious Monk, Max Roach came into Bologna. So I think that all the jazz masters were his inspiration.
I was surprised to learn that he wrote a musical opera based on Tosca. Can you tell us about this work?
Yes, was it the last years? He was sick about doing the same things, and as I told you before, he used to change a lot of the things he used to do it. And once he has invited Giorgio Armani, the famous stylist, at his place, and Giorgio Armani was impressed by a painting in his house, from which he has said, that is my inspiration for the closes of my next work, which is Tosca. And Lucio loved opera, loved Puccini, loved Rossini, all this kind of Verdi and so on. And when he knew about that, he proposed himself to write the music for Tosca, and that was done. He has done also a lot of theatrical plays. Prokofiev, Pierino il Lupo, for example.
How do you think Lucio Dalla would like to be remembered? What do you think he would want to be remembered for?
I think what I told you before. So the many skills he had. So not only a jazz player, not only a pop singer, not only actor, not only a director. So multitasking man. So someone who can do everything. For example, he was able to make speeches without saying nothing, in a very funny way, like Dario Fo.
And how would you sum up the achievements of Lucio Dalla?
I would say just a man of great success, and a man, and I repeat it, a man, not a musician, a man who will be remembered for centuries.
And finally, what do you think was Lucio's secret of success that he captured and still captures in the hearts and imagination of the Italian nation from all walks of life?
A common person. He was a common person. So was he used to say in a song, "Believe me, the most exceptional thing is to be normal." l'impresa eccezionale è essere normale. Because he had a very uncommon life. So he started very young as a jazz player. He has played billiard with Andy Warhol when he was young. He had a lot of success, but he used to walk all around the city without bodyguards, without no one. He could stop if you smell in a good way, or if the dog, your dog was nice for him. So he was a citizen of the city. We have a lot of singer, a lot of songwriter in Bologna, very, very known. But I think that if suddenly they disappeared, they will not so remembered like Lucio, because Lucio was really one of us. And you can meet it at the coffee bar, at the stadium, celebrating. I remember what told me a colleague of mine. She's older than me, and when she has done a guided tour in the main square with the children's, suddenly Lucio Dalla appears, and all the children look at him because it was very known. They have seen it in television everywhere, and he said, "Yes, kids, it's me, but you have to hear your tour guide. Don't look at me. Hear her."
That's very humble of him. It's very humble of him. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's a common person. As said, one of us, one of Bologna. Lucio was a very amazing person. He will be always remembered. It will always in my mind because I had that peculiar experience. And as I said at the beginning, for me it was very common to hear Lucio at the phone or to hear it at my place. Only after his death I understood that I had a big advantage, and so I think that it was very lucky for me to have this experience. And I'm sorry I didn't join enough when I was young, because when I was young I was more interested in to have holidays and parties. So my father was at the cave to play jazz with Lucio, so I had the house for me. So why go to hear the music when I have the house where I can invite all the girls I wanted? So now I regret a little bit that I didn't have spent more time with them. But no one of us can expect that he could die in such a way in Montreux, in Switzerland, so far away from his birthplace. I like to finish with that phrase that Lucio said. Lucio said, "I tried to live outside Bologna, but Bologna is like an elastic. So Bologna threw me back to my birthplace every time."
So he carried Bologna wherever he went in the world.
Yes. And I think he's very glad above with my father and the others. Also because it was that is important to be said, was very sport fan for basket and soccer. And this year, the Bologna soccer team has won the Italian Cup. And yesterday, the East basketball team has won the Scudetto. So wow. I think he's very glad about it.
Thank you, Baldassare, for coming on the show today.
I'm very glad about that. And as I was honored to guide you at Lucio Dalla.
Thank you. That was a truly amazing, once-in-a-lifetime experience. So, Baldassare, where can people find you?
So, they can just write on the web my name, Baldassare Giardina. I had also the email, maybe it's better, BALGIRD, then gmail.com.
And thank you, audience, for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you on the next show. Until then, ciao for now.
Ciao, stai bene, state bene.